Yes, as the noise and commotion continues in the journey to 2023 election by people who are not willing to listen, people who are not asking the constitution by which the winner of the election will govern, including civil society and political parties, all kinds of individuals. Nobody is asking the constitution by which the winner will govern. Nobody is asking what will change when, after the election, a new set of people come. The fundamental flaw, the pretense that we have submitted our sovereignty to be one indivisible political union, will remain in the preamble to that constitution by which they will swear, by which they will govern. Therefore, our sovereignty will still be detained. The 36 state structure that make it impossible for any development to happen, that tilt the representation in the place of decision making in Abuja in favor of those who fractured us into 36 states from 4 regions, will remain in place. The 774 local government areas that were carved out by those who were trying to get some more of the Commonwealth for themselves will still remain in place, compounding the question of uneven representation and skewed resource allocations, because between the two you suffer from the place of representation and decision making. That's the National Assembly, because it's 3 senators per state and roughly 10, you know how it is, that how we came about the 360 members of the House of Reps and the 109 senators we have. So it comes to where those who are not listening now about the need to stop the journey to the election to go and fix the union agreement. Because if we don't, those who are now who are fed up, those who are being killed, those who now see Nigeria as a union of death, union of backwardness, are going to continue. It doesn't matter whether we get to election or we crumble at election or we wobble on past election. Those issues will not go away. The solution to the situation is to stop now before the election to go to solve the problem. The purpose of this broadcast is to open our minds, like in the form of survey, the road to that 2023. What are we to expect in the kind of disputation, in the union dispute that have been declared since 2020, 16 December, the constitutional force majeure? What are we to expect going towards that election in the midst of those disputations? What are we to expect should things proceed to the election itself? Because the people who are throwing up all kinds of things about how they will become, what new thing they will do if they become president, or they seize power, or they get power. Again, they don't seem to be interested in listening to the cries of those who are being killed, the cries of those whose assets have been seized by this constitution by which that election is being conducted. They don't seem interested. And so we're looking at what are the things that could go wrong before that election. What are the things that could go wrong during that election? What are the things that could go wrong after the election? So that people can come back to the prescription. What did we tell everybody we should do? Which they are not doing now, because they can generate noise. They've stolen enough money to throw around and all of that. And so, if we look back at 1966, how did we get at January 15, 1966? I want the older generation to listen carefully. I want the younger generation to ask those who may be in a position to know, the older generation. How did we arrive at the collapse of the Union, the Federation of Nigeria, that happened in 1966? How did we arrive there? Let us remember that it was the suspension of the Constitution of the Western Region on the 29th of May in 1962. unconstitutionally, the unconstitutional suspension of the constitution of the Western region on the 29th of May in 1962 that led to the situation that developed, that became Wild West. Elections came. That means one leg, because there were only 3 regions at the time, one leg of the 3 had been fractured illicitly. And so instead of going to fix that situation, they refused, and the elections came and they went on. So we can manage it. The outcome of that election, was that nobody could govern the western region of Nigeria. And as they were trying to put that, another election came, because the regional and the federal elections happened 1 year apart. Another election came, so it was just a matter of refusing to resolve the constitutional dispute, waiting for election to come to meet, because the election is like, fuel in the kind of disputation, the union disputation, that the election can only cause fire. It increases tension. And so that election met that unresolved constitutional disputation, and then the union went up in flames in January of 1966. We've not recovered from that. Let us also remember that in 1983, it was the election of the second tenure election of our man Shagari, the MPN, landslide. 3 months after, the whole thing was down because of the tensions that came with it. So elections will actually be the worst fuel for the kind of fire we're trying to prevent. And so, if people are refusing to listen, and we wobble on to so close to the election, these disputations and the agitations and the violent variety in the midst of the invasion that is going on, and the resort to self-help in all kinds of locations across the country, when the Minister of Defense had told people to go and get guns and defend themselves, some of the governors are also taking responsibility in that regard. And so, why do we sleepwalk? Why do we walk into this fire with our eyes so wide open? Where are we going to? The day after the election, no matter who wins, you are going to have to, the people who will take power will swear to defend and uphold the atrocities we are rejecting. At what point are they going to begin the reconstruction that needs to be done? The 36 states, the senators that arrive in Abuja, the ones winning the election, the House members that will arrive in Abuja, the ones who won election. At what point are you going to now call them to a meeting of how the states can be reconstructed? Because the first thing that will happen in any kind of union reconstruction is that those 36 states that are serving no purpose will have to be put aside. The constituents will decide the formations in what and how many, in what formations and how many units that will be the federating units. That's the first thing that. So anybody who is telling you they are going to change anything the day after the election, they're just lying to you. Tell them, ask them now. At what point are they going to resolve the question of we the people having solemnly resolved to live in unity? At what point will that issue be taken, in which the Yoruba are sitting at a table with the Jaw and the Ogoni and the Berom and the Thief and the Fulani, if anybody is still willing to discuss anything with them, because they've taken their decision. They will cite their own right to self-determination in the Sharia they adopted. And so, let us be clear in our minds that all this talk about what will happen to make things better in the day after the election, they are just deceit. You have to ask those who are saying that they will do ABC the day after. It doesn't matter whether APC wins or PDP wins or ABGA wins or Mega Party that was Tommy and his co-travelers, Jega and co, who are the other people in their midst, obvious question. What are they proposing? What are they proposing? Compared with what we have placed on the table. So we are saying the morning after, quite apart from the fact that we could have a catastrophic collapse before the election, quite apart from the fact that the election itself could be the point of that collapse because we are refusing to address the issue. But we are saying, assuming that we wobble on to the point where they say election has happened, one candidate has become winner. What will change? What will that winner begin? That winner that will take office by swearing to defend and uphold the lie that we have submitted ourselves to union, uphold the lie of 36 states being our own making, because everything in the constitution is then our making. The 68 items of exclusive list is our making. Under that lie. And it's the judge that decided that the oil and gas will belong to Jigawa. Under that lie, it is Benue that decided that their limestone will belong to Dangote. Under that lie, it's Lagos people that decide that the ports of Lagos will be managed by Fulani people for all times. That is what that lie in that preamble represents. Under that lie, it is all of us that decided that the spare keys to the treasury will be in the hands of the executive heads of the executive branch. The 37 men whose signature move all the monies from the treasury in the appropriation provisions. Under that lie, it is all of us that decided that the responsibility will not, the government will not owe the citizen any responsibility for security or welfare and all the things in chapter 2, everything. So let us be clear in our minds that if that constitution is allowed, anybody who is willing to go to election under that constitution in the face of all of what we have tabled against that constitution is actually, inviting death to himself. Because again, the guns will remain where they are, in the hands of the people who are controlling all the armed services. The power to conduct election will remain where it is, INEC. That is now even going beyond the states to go to local government to micromanage us to the community. That's what we are angling for by going towards election. What's our prescription? Nina says we take too much risk. We are walking with our eyes wide open into an inferno if we carry on with this constitution in the hope that the morning after it will get better. It can only get worse. Except somebody amongst those people who are going about now saying they're going to do differently. Except they come now, not tomorrow, before the election, to come to explain to us exactly what they're going to do. Are they going to tell the 36 governors that emerged that their states are no more? Are they going to tell the 109 senators that will be waiting for their own monthly reward for 48 years to come? Are they going to tell them that their states are no more? Or at what point are they going to introduce this discussion for how we solve this problem? It is all a deceit. Let those who are going to suffer, let those who are going to be killed, because the killings will continue. The impoverishment will continue. The refineries you can see is because we are not refining that we have to wait to buy fuel from international market. So prices are going up. Nigeria is supposed to be rejoicing that prices have gone up. But what is it for us? No. We are now, our irresponsible constitutional architecture compels us, because the refineries are on the exclusive list. We cannot refine. Federal government has no refinery to offer. And they lock down the possibility. The federal government of Nigeria locks down the possibility of refining with the exclusive list. It's the 1999 constitution that is holding the petrol. Except that constitution goes down, petrol will not come from anywhere, even if we produce more crude. Unless that constitution goes down, you can see that it's Dangote that is now licensed in monopoly to go and build the refinery that will give us we are just deceiving ourselves. The same thing with security. Except that constitution goes down, the security you lament about can only get worse, because it is that exclusive list that locks down the possibilities around security. Because we can secure ourselves. It's that constitution that says we cannot. We cannot police ourselves, we cannot touch gun, even as people we see, people who can defeat, are coming towards us with gun. And so, any way you look at it, whether it is the refinery or the security or the election or the corruption, everything is flowing from that constitution. If you then say you want to go to another election under that constitution, it is your choice to be killed. It is your choice to be impoverished. It is your choice to be rendered hopeless.